Friday, family dinner. I called it the weekly tribunal. Same table, same seats, same expectations. I watched Vanessa glowing with self-satisfaction pitch her latest deal, Brightwave software set to light up Times Square. Mom, her camera always ready, filmed every word. Vanessa's finalizing the acquisition. It's the merger of the year, Mom said proudly. Vanessa smiled. The press release goes live tonight. Times Square will be buzzing. I folded my napkin, letting the tension sink in. Impressive. Vanessa smirked, spearing a piece of asparagus. I might be up for senior counsel at Ethereum post-merger. Dad finally looked up from his tablet. Now that's real progress. Exactly, Mom added. Emily, there's an opening at Vanessa's firm. Maybe you could apply, legal assistant Vanessa added with a sweet smile. Stable hours, a good step. I took a breath, keeping my voice even. Tech consulting. Vanessa laughed. Sure, consulting. I let the moment sit. Why not celebrate it? Let's go to Times Square tonight, as a family. Mom clapped. Great idea. We could live stream. Brightwave Queen, hashtag maybe Vanessa tilted her head. It could be good PR. I stood slowly, my voice calm. Let's go. Tonight's going to be unforgettable. I stepped out of the house, leaving them behind, already consumed with their phones and rehearsed lines. You'll want front row seats, I said, eyes fixed ahead. Tonight's going to be unforgettable. They called it the Friday family dinner. I called it the weekly tribunal, where I sat in exile at the far end of the table. Same table, same seats, same expectations. I watched the silverware glint under the dining room chandelier, perfectly aligned with the edge of my placemat, just as Mother preferred. Across the table, Vanessa's voice filled the space with self-satisfaction. Her laugh polished, every gesture rehearsed like she was being filmed. She probably was. I caught a glimpse of Mother's phone propped up discreetly on a mini tripod aimed straight at Vanessa. Of course. Margaret Tran, family matriarch and part-time micro-influencer, smiled proudly. Vanessa just finalized the Brightwave software acquisition. It's going to be the merger of the year. I told you she'd do great things. Vanessa accepted the praise with a gentle tilt of her head. Her blouse pressed to perfection, hair sculpted into effortless waves. It's still under wraps, but we just got final clearance on the press release. Screens across Times Square go live tonight. I folded my napkin slowly, letting the linen soak up the tension building in my palms. That's impressive. Vanessa leaned forward, fork spearing a piece of asparagus. They said I might be considered for a senior equity counsel seat at Ethereum post-merger. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I've been running point on every contract negotiation. Father finally looked up from his tablet. Real progress. Tangible value. This is what a career looks like. Exactly, Mother added. Which reminds me, Emily, there's an entry-level opening at Vanessa's firm. Something you could apply for. Legal assistant, I think. Vanessa said brightly. Minimal responsibility. Stable hours. Might be a good transition out of whatever it is you do. Tech consulting, I said. Voice flat. She blinked, then smirked. Right. Consulting. Mother poured herself a modest inch of wine. It's not too late to pivot. Maybe this merger will inspire you. Who knows, you could even attend the press event. You like watching success stories, right? My phone buzzed under the table. Jordan Wu. 7:56 p.m. Media in place. Billboard locked. Final confirmation for 8:00 p.m. I let the words settle like sediment at the bottom of a glass. I didn't need to reply. Everything was already in motion. I reached for my water, hiding a small smile behind the rim. Father cleared his throat. So, what's next for you, Emily? Any concrete updates? Something measurable. Vanessa chuckled. Oh, come on, Dad. Let's not pressure her. I'm sure she's got plenty of passion projects. I set down my glass. You know, I said if this is such a major deal for you, we should celebrate it properly. Vanessa raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? You said the announcement goes live tonight? I said, keeping my tone light. On Times Square, right? Why don't we go as a family? Mother clapped her hands. That's a lovely idea. Vanessa, we could live stream it. Hashtag Brightwave Queen. What do you think? Vanessa tilted her head, calculating the optics. Well, I suppose it could be good PR. Father stood up slowly. We should take the town car. Avoid traffic. I folded my napkin with care and placed it beside my untouched plate. The seat creaked as I stood the same creak it made 5 years ago when I left this house after being told that ambition without a law degree was naive. I'd walked out then with nothing but a laptop and a vision. Now I walked out with a quiet storm under my coat. They moved ahead of me already, discussing angles and hashtags. Vanessa was rehearsing what she'd say when her name lit up the screens. Margaret was deciding between filters. No one looked back at the end of the table. They never did. You'll want front row seats, I said. Tonight's going to be unforgettable. There's something strangely poetic about being chauffeured to your own revenge, while the people you're targeting think they're heading to their coronation. The city blurred past in shades of gold and static. Inside the limousine, it smelled of bergamot and the faint tang of self-congratulation. Margaret was adjusting her phone's ring light in the window's reflection, while Vanessa reapplied lipstick for the third time. Do we know what time it goes live? She asked, her voice pitched for both the car and the imaginary audience she performed for. I want to time my quote just right. Maybe something like, "Justice isn't just a concept, it's a contract." She laughed, pleased with herself. I didn't respond. My gaze was on the screen in my palm thumb, hovering over an encrypted chat. Jordan Wu, 7:24 p.m. drone angles secured. Crowd is light, billboard is ready. The SUV took a turn near Fifth Avenue. Margaret's sequined blazer sparkled like a disco ball in the car's dim ceiling lights. "Oh, Emily," she said sweetly, turning the camera toward me. "Say something to the moms out there about watching your sister succeed. It'll inspire people." Vanessa laughed. "Maybe this'll be the night you finally feel proud of your sister." I met her gaze, let it linger just long enough to unsettle her, then looked down at my watch. 7:26 p.m. Margaret kept filming, narrating their success like a reality TV confessional. "This is what it looks like when you raise daughters with drive," she said, angling the camera to capture Vanessa's smug profile. Discipline, education, the Tran way. Father, as always, was a separate planet murmuring on WhatsApp, pitching some AI-based hedge fund concept to a contact named Sven 1LDN. Occasionally, he grunted agreement to no one in particular. Vanessa launched into a monologue about Brightwave's compliance issues and how she single-handedly renegotiated the indemnity clauses. "It was almost cute, really," she said. Their CTO tried to push back on the licensing terms. I buried him in liability language so deep he'll need a team of spelunkers to get out. I imagined the LED lights flickering on, not with Vanessa's face, but with something else entirely. Something honest. "Here." Vanessa rummaged through her bag and handed me a tri-fold brochure. "I printed this for you. Application form for an entry-level paralegal program, just in case your consulting slows down." I unfolded the paper, studied it like it might contain divine scripture, then folded it again with surgical precision and slid it into my purse. "You'll want to remember this moment," I said, voice even. "It's the last time you'll feel this powerful." The silence that followed was short. Margaret broke it by exclaiming, "Oh, I brought something from a tote bag." She pulled out a glossy 5x7 frame with a childhood photo of Vanessa at her middle school debate finals, plastered with metallic stickers that read, "Born for this" and "Future Leader." She cradled it like an Oscar. I thought it'd be nice to give her something personal at the square. Make it real. You know? Vanessa took it feigned surprise. "Oh, Mom, you're ridiculous." But her grin said she agreed. I watched their reflection in the tinted glass as the car curved toward Midtown. 7:43 p.m. Jordan again, crowd forming, main screen locked, secondary loop queued. Your moment. A low vibration hummed through my spine. Not fear, not guilt, just inevitability. I leaned into the armrest, my fingertips brushing against the edge of my coat pocket. Inside, a black USB drive, old school, heavy precise. Not needed anymore, but I liked the weight of it. A reminder. The limo slowed. Vanessa leaned forward, peering past the driver. Oh my God. There it is. Through the window, the first neon shimmer of Times Square peeked over the skyline, a pulse of electricity wrapped in steel and glass. I didn't blink. Let the lights speak, I whispered. There were gasps, then silence. And in that silence, I heard something I've waited years for, the sound of certainty. The SUV door opened to a blast of cold spring air and an assault of color. Times Square was alive, neon pulsing in every direction, a digital cathedral to capitalism and ego. Perfect. Margaret stepped out first, her sequined blazer catching every light like a disco ball spun by desperation. She held her phone high. Okay, let's do a quick live. Vanessa, stand in front of that screen. Angle your chin. Vanessa followed, one hand clutching her framed childhood photo like a prop, the other adjusting her collar. Wait until it starts, she said. Let's catch the moment they put my name up. I took my time, stepped out last. Let the moment breathe. 7:59 p.m. The crowd gathered near the screen just above 45th Street, all heads tilted in anticipation. A few reporters whispered into their cameras, waiting for a name. Vanessa pulled a mirror from her purse, checked her lipstick. This is going to be so good. Nothing shines brighter than a daughter's success, Margaret said behind her. I smiled. Let's test that theory. Then it happened. 8:00 p.m. The main screen went dark for a second. Then a slow fade-in of white text over black breaking news. Emily Tran, founder and CEO of Ethereum Systems, announces acquisition of Brightwave Software in a $1.2 billion all-stock deal. The square stilled. Even the taxis seemed to hush. My name appeared in 10-foot letters. And behind it, a video loop began, brief clips of code architecture, satellite projections, and a calm voiceover. After 5 years of stealth development, Ethereum Systems reshapes the tech landscape. The camera lights snapped on. The murmurs became questions, then shouting. Emily, are you the new CEO of Brightwave? How long was the deal in the works? Why keep your identity a secret until now? Was your sister involved? Vanessa stared up at the screen, her jaw slack. The framed photo in her hand tilted, forgotten. Margaret turned slowly toward me. What is this? Richard said nothing. His hand slipped his phone back into his pocket, eyes narrowed, calculating. I took a step forward, letting the lights catch the sharp edge of my suit collar. They called me a failed daughter. Tonight, I said, looking straight into the nearest camera, I call it justice. Gasps rippled through the small crowd. Phones were lifted. Live streams started. Vanessa broke the spell, but I handled all I didn't let her finish. My legal team handled you. The words sliced clean. Vanessa blinked, stunned. Her confidence drained faster than the blood from her face. Margaret scrambled to salvage the narrative. She turned her phone back on herself, switching to front-facing mode. This was a family strategy. A coordinated success. We always knew the live stream cut off as I walked past her. I stepped directly into the circle of reporters. Cameras focused, microphones extended like weapons, but I didn't flinch. This city watched me fail, I said. Now it will watch me rise. Flashbulbs burst like fireworks. Screens repeated my name, looping the headline over and over again. Emily Tran, CEO, innovator. The real deal. My phone buzzed. Jordan Wu Media going viral. Office secure. Family requesting a meeting. I didn't look back. I typed, schedule it, and prepare the files. They wanted to meet the real CEO. Now they would not in a family room, but in a room built on everything they said I couldn't build. The boardroom stretched wide and high, a corridor of glass suspended above Manhattan. The skyline glittered like a crown, and across the river, Brightwave's old headquarters stood dwarfed and irrelevant, its signage already overlaid with the Ethereum logo. I stood near the window, my reflection clean, unblinking. Behind me, the door opened with a discreet chime. Vanessa entered, first heels sharp against the marble. She wore a blazer a shade too stiff, a smile too rehearsed. Margaret followed, already fumbling with her phone, which my assistant quickly intercepted with a gentle but firm hand. Richard brought up the rear, carrying a navy folder embossed in gold joint venture proposal. "Good morning," I said. "Calm? Cool." Margaret looked around in awe. "So this is where the magic happens." Vanessa tilted her chin. "Nice view." I gestured toward the table. "Please, sit." Jordan Wu entered through the side door with perfect timing, lean, precise, immaculately composed in charcoal gray. He nodded to me, then took his place at the far end of the table, opening a laptop and connecting it to the main screen. Vanessa's gaze darted to him, and I could almost hear the words she once told me. "Law is power." You wouldn't understand. Now she faced the man who ran my legal empire. "Let's begin," I said. The lights dimmed slightly as Jordan tapped the screen. A playback started news clips from last night drone footage of Times Square slow-motion shots of the LED boards flashing Emily Tran CEO. A counter ticked in the corner, 28.3 million views. And rising. Media coverage exploded overnight, Jordan explained. Top trending globally. Every outlet has confirmed Ethereum as the acquiring body. Your role is now cemented permanently. Margaret clapped politely. "We're so proud, honey. Really. All of this. It's unbelievable." I turned. "Is it?" Richard opened his folder. "We thought this would be a good time to align efforts. A joint venture between your brand and the Tran family name. We already drafted a proposal." Naturally, you'd have final say, but Jordan clicked again. A new file opened Margaret's deleted live streams, Richard's blog post from 2 years ago calling my work juvenile experiments, and a screen capture of Vanessa's quote from a panel discussion. "Some of us build real companies, others just daydream on laptops." Curious, I said, how eager you are to align now. Vanessa's voice wavered. "You know how media twists things." "Do they?" I asked. Jordan hit play one more time. Audio crackled to life, a private recording from a dinner party 3 years ago. Vanessa's voice unmistakably smug. "Emily doesn't talk because silence makes people assume she's harmless. I use it. Her silence lets me shine. That's what little sisters are for." The silence that followed now was not harmless. Vanessa sat back, blood drained from her face. Margaret stared at the screen, fingers twitching. Richard reached for his water glass and missed. I walked to the table and placed 3 folders in front of them, thick legal final. "Non-disclosure agreement violations?" I said, pointing to the first. "Legal injunctions against further media misrepresentation?" The second. And the third signed retraction and resignation statements. Prepared, notarized. Margaret blinked rapidly. "Retraction of what? Everything I said? The lies? The credits you took? The claims you made in public and private? You're not part of this legacy. You never were." Richard scowled. "This is excessive." "Is it?" Jordan didn't flinch. Margaret Tran's live streams were deleted post-event, but all were archived, including footage where she refers to Emily as a long-term dependent, legally classifiable as defamation if used to diminish shareholder perception. Vanessa shot to her feet. "You can't be serious." "You always wanted me to sign something that proved I was serious," I said. My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. I opened the final folder, slowly let the papers breathe in front of them. "Today, it's your turn." They thought blood ties could override legal ones. They forgot I built my empire in silence, but I documented everything. The light in the boardroom had shifted. What was soft and ambient just hours ago now flooded every corner. Harsh, clinical, unforgiving. Like truth itself. I stood at the head of the table, no longer needing to assert presence. The room had done that for me. Vanessa slouched in her chair, makeup creasing at the edges of her confidence. Margaret sat, rigid arms crossed like a protest she couldn't articulate. Richard wore his best poker face, but the tremor in his thumb gave him away. Jordan Wu tapped his tablet, and a soft chime filled the air. "Let's begin." I didn't raise my voice. Power didn't need to be loud. Jordan slid a document across to Vanessa. "This is the full withdrawal agreement from Meridian Legal. It severs you from all partnership claims titles and retroactive representations connected to Ethereum or Brightwave. Vanessa looked at it like it was a death certificate. This ruins me. You did that, I said, when you presented my pitch deck in 2018 as your own. Her eyes flared. I thought you'd forgotten I document everything. She tried to laugh. It cracked in her throat. We were kids. That science fair, remember, I just borrowed your idea. Borrowed, I repeated and glanced at Jordan. He tapped again. On screen, a younger me appeared 13, maybe 14, holding a clunky prototype glowing with the pride of invention. Then a cut to the same project 1 week later in Vanessa's hands at the regional expo. The same code. My handwriting even. It wasn't your first theft, I said. Just your first public one. Vanessa's hand shook as she picked up the stylus. She signed. The system beeped. Biometric confirmation locked. No way back. Margaret leaned forward, her voice brittle. Emily, baby, I know I said things on live streams, but you know how sponsors are. They want a story. I just embellished. Jordan didn't look up. You accepted over $70,000 in influencer partnerships under false pretenses, including selling alleged access to CEO Emily's business playbook. Her breath caught. That was branding. It's not like I leaked anything real. Jordan opened a folder. Wrong again. Screenshots populated the wall, snippets of private investor slides, fragments of strategy docs, early UI concepts watermarked confidential. All from files she had accidentally forwarded to herself. Margaret's hands rose in surrender. Okay. I didn't know I stopped her. You knew. A pen slid toward her. You have two options, I said. Sign the retraction and accept the fine. Or we proceed with civil suit and fraud charges. The room stilled. Then quietly she signed. Richard cleared his throat. Emily, we can find another way. Look, I've been building traction for a fintech platform. With the Tran name, your valuation. You've been using my name. He shrugged. Only in concept decks. Just to get meetings. Once I secure funding, Jordan played a voicemail from 5 years ago. My voice younger, uncertain. Dad, I think I have something. A system that could disrupt how satellites relay ground data. I just need someone to believe in it. Then Richard's chuckle. Build a website, Emily. That'll make you feel like a founder. No one said a word. I turned toward him. You didn't believe in my name then. You don't get to profit off it now. Richard looked away. His signature came fast, almost angry. The system beeped again. Biometric trace confirmed. I let the silence breathe for a beat. I'm not erasing you because you hurt me, I said. I'm erasing you because you endangered everything I built. Then I pressed the button. Across the network, cease and desist letters deployed. Fines triggered. Brand protections activated. Every legal boundary enforced. They flinched not from volume, but from finality. Margaret's voice cracked. So, what are we now? I looked at her at all of them. And said strangers, with contracts. They said I had no voice. So I built a microphone the world couldn't ignore. The bell echoed across the New York Stock Exchange, not just as a market signal, but as a declaration. I didn't flinch when the gavel struck. I looked straight into the sea of cameras, flashes, and suits, and I smiled. Behind me, the massive digital ticker unfurled in silver and blue, Ethereum Systems IPO live, CEO Emily Tran market valuation 42B, and climbing the crowd erupted. Jordan stood off to the side, nodding to reporters, orchestrating press rotations with clinical grace. I stepped forward. The podium microphone hummed to life. 5 years ago, I said I had a prototype. No one funded a name no one believed in, and a family who told me I'd embarrass them if I failed in public. The room held its breath. So I didn't fail in public. I failed in basements, in server crashes, in meetings where my voice was talked over. And then I built something the world could not ignore. Applause surged. Some were clapping for the valuation, some for the vindication. But I didn't care. I wasn't speaking to them. I was speaking to the silent ones. Outside banners ran the quote they'd all heard by now, looping through Midtown. They called me a failed daughter. Tonight I call it justice. But I didn't stay for the after parties. By late afternoon, I was back in Ethereum Tower. The elevator rose silently past the executive floors all the way to the rooftop. My private space. My garden in the sky. Wind brushed past trellises of ivy and solar blooms. The city spread below like an electric tide. I sat at the center table, oak handmade. The mirror of where I used to sit at family dinners, but now I wasn't on the margins. Now I was the one everyone revolved around. For a moment, I closed my eyes. Flash. The cold basement with a whiteboard and bad Wi-Fi. Flash. 18 packing a duffel bag. No one said goodbye. Flash. My first investor pitch voice shaking hands steady. Flash. Jordan's first message, saw your notes, let's build it. The door creaked. A small voice followed. I want to be you someday. I turned. A girl maybe 9, maybe 10, clutching a notepad and a parent's trembling permission. Then, don't be me, I said gently. Be louder. She smiled like it was permission. Jordan appeared again, a tablet in his hands. Media requests from 3 continents. Forbes, Wired, Financial Times, hold them. He raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. He stepped back. I opened my phone one last time. Searched Mom, then Dad, then Vanessa, and deleted each contact. One tap. Confirmed. I hit record. To anyone out there labeled a disappointment, I said, eyes on the skyline, let this be a message. Success is the loudest silence. The recording ended. I didn't save it to the cloud. My phone buzzed. Breaking Ethereum valuation surpasses 42 by CEO Emily Tran, now among youngest tech billionaires. I powered it off. Turned to the edge of the rooftop. Let the wind meet me face first. The weight was gone, not because it had lifted, but because I'd built higher. The city pulsed, and for once it pulsed back with my rhythm. Now I whispered, I write my story. The girl once exiled to the end of the table now stood at the center of a world she built from silent scars and sleepless resolve. Those who mocked her voice were silenced by the thunder of her success, their names buried beneath signed contracts and irreversible consequences. Justice didn't come in fury. It came in facts, timing and the elegance of truth revealed. Like the final chord of a long-forgotten melody, justice may arrive late, but it resonates powerfully once it's heard. And in that resonance, she reminded the world no lie lasts forever, and no daughter stays forgotten.